It was just another ordinary afternoon. The kind where you toss your loose change onto the counter without a second thought. But for one man in Colorado, that handful of coins was about to change his life forever. Nestled among nickels and quarters sat a single 2017 Lincoln penny, with a tiny D below the date. At first glance, it looked completely ordinary. Worth 1 cent. Maybe less than the paper receipt it was sitting on. But in truth, this little copper-colored disc was hiding a secret worth over $1.6 million. No one in the room noticed it at first. It could have been spent on gum or dropped between couch cushions, gone forever. But fate had other plans. This penny was born in the Denver Mint, one of the busiest in America, where billions of coins are struck every year. But in the chaos of that minting process, something went wrong. A mistake so rare, so microscopic, that it would go unnoticed by nearly everyone who touched it. Almost everyone. The man picked it up, and for some reason, he just couldn't let it go. Maybe it was instinct, maybe it was luck. He tilted it under the light. That's when he saw it, a faint, almost ghost-like doubling in the design. A whisper of an error that most eyes would dismiss. But for a trained collector, or a very lucky beginner, this was the sign. This was no ordinary penny, but what happened next stunned the entire coin world. He sent the penny to be evaluated by experts, unsure if he was just chasing a fantasy. The days crawled by. Then came the call. The grading company's voice was tense with excitement. This was the real thing. A genuine, confirmed minting error from 2017, with a Denver Mint mark, in pristine, uncirculated condition. They told him what every collector dreams of hearing: this is one of the rarest modern pennies we've ever seen. Word spread like wildfire. Dealers were calling, auction houses were circling, collectors were offering blank checks. A simple penny, now $1 million miracle. And when the hammer finally fell at auction, the crowd erupted. The final bid, over $1.6 million. For a coin most people would have spent without a second thought. So what made this tiny piece of metal worth more than a house? It wasn't just the date. It wasn't just the mint mark. It was the combination of an ultra-rare minting error, flawless condition, and a demand so fierce that bidding turned into a battle. The doubling on certain letters, the razor-sharp details in Lincoln's profile, the perfect, untouched luster, these were the keys. Miss just one of them, and your penny is worth a cent again. Collectors were shocked to learn how many of these rare errors might still be out there. Some could be sitting in jars, drawers, or glove compartments right now. And here's the kicker: most people wouldn't even know they had one. They'd spend it. Drop it. Lose it. But this is where the story shifts to you. Imagine holding your morning coffee, dumping out some change, and spotting that little D under 2017. Now imagine noticing the faint doubling, the flawless shine, the crisp detail that tells you this could be it. The very coin that turns your pocket change into $1 million story. Here's what you need to look for. First, the date, 2017. Then the small D beneath it, for Denver. Hold it under a bright light, tilt it slowly, and check for doubling in the inscriptions, especially Liberty and In God We Trust. The sharper and more flawless the coin looks, the better. Any wear, scratches, or discoloration can kill the value instantly. And remember, only certified grading can truly confirm you've got the jackpot. One man's penny became his ticket to a new life. And the truth is, this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. It was just an ordinary afternoon in Denver back in 1973, or so it seemed. Pennies rolled off the presses by the millions. Bright, shiny, and seemingly identical. But hidden among the countless coins was one tiny mistake, a flaw so rare, so invisible to most eyes, that it would one day make a single Lincoln cent worth nearly $1.9 million. This coin didn't glitter with gold. It didn't sparkle with diamonds. It was copper. Plain, simple, forgettable copper. The kind you toss in a jar or leave under a couch cushion without a second thought. But that's the thing about the rarest treasures, they hide in plain sight. And this one almost vanished forever. A man in Arizona found it completely by accident. He was going through his late father's old coin jars, nothing special, just years of pocket change, when one penny caught his eye. The date read 1973, and right below it, a tiny D mint mark. That alone didn't mean much. But the coin felt different. The strike was sharper, the details bolder, and something about the color, a richer, deeper tone, whispered that it wasn't just any penny. He almost spent it on coffee. Imagine that $1 million coin passed across the counter for a paper cup. But something told him to hold on to it. He didn't know it yet, but the Denver Mint had accidentally produced a handful of these coins with a mysterious variation. Experts believe an experimental die, the steel stamp used to press the coin, was used for a short time, creating a sharper image of Lincoln's profile and a unique alignment of the lettering. But here's the part that makes collectors' hearts race: fewer than a dozen are believed to exist. Some say only 6. And in the world of coin collecting, rarity is everything. The moment a coin is confirmed as a genuine mint anomaly, its value skyrockets. And this one? This one stunned the entire coin world when it first hit the auction block. The bidding started small, a few $1,000s, but as seasoned collectors realized what they were seeing, the numbers climbed. 10,000. 50,000. 100,000. The man who almost bought coffee with it now watched the numbers tick higher and higher. Dealers were whispering. Phones were ringing. It was like watching a storm build in slow motion. When the hammer finally dropped, the crowd erupted. That tiny piece of copper had just sold for nearly $1.9 million. And overnight, the legend of the 1973 D Lincoln penny was born. But here's the thing most people miss: this isn't just about the date and mint mark. Thousands of 1973 D pennies were minted, but only the rare few with that sharp, experimental die strike and perfect preservation hold life-changing value. That means there could still be more out there. Sitting in forgotten jars. Lying in the bottom of a purse. Tucked away in a desk drawer, quietly waiting for someone to notice. One collector swears he spotted one at a flea market in a pile of coins marked 10 cents each. He bought the whole pile for $3, and later learned one coin alone was worth over $100,000. It wasn't the full million, but tell me, when was the last time $3 turned into a fortune overnight? So what should you look for? First, check the date, 1973 with a D below it. Then examine Lincoln's profile. The lines in his hair should be razor sharp, the lettering crisp and perfectly aligned. The surface should have a deep, even copper tone, not the dull brown of a heavily circulated penny. And here's the most important tip: condition matters. Even the rarest coin loses significant value if it's scratched, worn, or bent. Collectors were shocked when the last one appeared at auction. Some thought we'd seen them all, but each discovery proves that treasures can still slip through the cracks. Dealers are always watching, always ready to pay top dollar for one in pristine condition. Imagine this: you open an old drawer, run your fingers through a handful of coins, and there it is. That tiny D. That perfect shine. That unmistakable strike. You hold it in your hand, and for a moment, you realize this little penny could change everything, because somewhere out there, in pockets, purses, and piggy banks, another 1973 D is waiting to be found. And when it is, it might just be worth over $1 million. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. It was just another ordinary morning. A man in Ohio jingled the coins in his pocket, about to toss them onto his dresser without a second thought. But one copper coin caught his eye, not because it looked special, but because it looked old. That coin, ignored by countless hands before his, would soon sell for over $1 million. And the year stamped on it? 1966, no mint mark. Just a humble penny that could have easily been spent on a pack of gum, or lost forever in the couch cushions. The 1966 no mint mark Lincoln penny isn't the kind of coin you expect to see in the headlines. It wasn't made of gold. It wasn't adorned with diamonds. It was born in the middle of a decade of change, a year when the United States Mint, struggling with a national coin shortage, made decisions that would alter the fate of certain coins forever. To speed up production, mint marks were removed from all coins, making 1966 pennies look deceptively ordinary. But that's the trick, not all of them were ordinary. This particular penny's journey began in the Philadelphia Mint, where millions were struck. But a handful emerged with something different, a rare combination of flawless preservation, microscopic die variations, and minting quirks that would someday ignite bidding wars among collectors. Most people didn't notice. Why would they? It was a penny. Just 1 cent. But hidden in plain sight, one coin would become a $1 million legend. Collectors were stunned when one example, virtually untouched since the day it was minted, crossed the auction block. The coin's fields gleamed like still water, its sharp details revealing Lincoln's profile with crystal clarity. The grading experts gasped. This was no pocket change anymore. It was a time capsule. And when the gavel finally fell, jaws dropped. The price soared past everyone's expectations, climbing into the realm of life-changing money. Over $1.8 million for a coin you could have found in your change jar, but what happened next stunned the entire coin world. News spread like wildfire. Coin dealers rushed to their inventories, magnifying glasses in hand, hunting for a 1966 with the same magic combination. Online forums lit up. Everyday people began checking their pennies under desk lamps late into the night. The dream was real. One man's pocket change had turned into $1 million miracle. The reason? Rarity isn't just about how many coins exist, it's about how many survive in near-perfect condition. In 1966, coins were churned out by the millions and immediately thrown into the chaos of circulation. Almost all were scratched, worn, or battered by decades of use. But if a coin somehow avoided that fate, preserved untouched for nearly 60 years, it could ignite a bidding frenzy. And there's another detail that makes this penny a legend. Under close inspection, certain 1966 no-mint mark Lincoln cents show minute die polishing lines, striking errors, or an unusually sharp strike, signs that they were struck under conditions most coins never see. These clues, invisible to the casual glance, are what seasoned collectors live for. Miss them, and you could spend your fortune without ever realizing you just gave away $1 million coin. One Pennsylvania man almost did. He found a 1966 penny in his late father's belongings and thought it might be worth a few bucks as a keepsake. But after sending it to a grading service, he got the phone call that changed everything. His voice trembled when he heard the number. "I don't even know what to say," he told reporters. "It's life-changing." And it is life-changing. Imagine paying off your mortgage, buying your dream car, or traveling the world, all because you noticed one coin that others ignored. That's why this story inspires collectors and casual treasure hunters alike. Because if one person can pluck $1 million penny from obscurity, so can you. So how do you spot one? Start with the basics. Look for a 1966 Lincoln cent with no mint mark. That's standard for the year, so don't stop there. Examine its condition. If it looks like it just left the mint yesterday, with sharp details, clean surfaces, and no visible wear, you may be holding something special. Use a magnifying glass to search for unusual die features, crisp lettering, strong strike lines, or subtle errors that set it apart. And above all, if you suspect you've got a gem, don't toss it back into circulation. Get it authenticated and graded, because here's the truth: the next $1 million 1966 penny is still out there. Maybe in a coin roll. Maybe in a box in your attic. Maybe even in your pocket right now. And when you find it, everything changes. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up in the trash, but it changed someone's life forever. In 1973, the Denver Mint was producing hundreds of millions of Lincoln pennies. Day after day, the presses roared, spitting out coins destined for pockets, jars, and vending machines. Nothing special, or so everyone thought. But in the chaos of production, a few pennies left the mint with something so rare, so unusual, that decades later they would send shockwaves through the coin collecting world. One of them would sell for over $1.7 million. The man who found it didn't even know what he had. It sat in a small jar on his desk for years, tossed there with paper clips, rubber bands, and the occasional dime. But one rainy afternoon, while sorting through his change for a charity donation, his eye caught something strange. The coin's details seemed different. Sharper. Bolder. Almost alive. And when he looked closer at the date, 1973, below the date, a tiny letter D. What happened next stunned the entire coin world. When experts examined his penny, they realized it wasn't just another Denver Mint Lincoln cent. This coin had a hidden story. A minting mistake so subtle, so perfectly camouflaged in plain sight, that most people would never notice it. Some were struck on the wrong planchet, a blank meant for a different denomination. Others had doubled dies, microscopic shifts in the engraving that made the lettering look like it was echoing. And some, the rarest of all, had a combination of flaws so unique that no two were exactly alike. Collectors were shocked. Dealers were calling each other in disbelief. An ordinary man's pocket change had just become $1 million miracle, but here's where it gets even more unbelievable. The Denver Mint never officially acknowledged how many of these flawed 1973 D pennies were produced. No records. No explanations. Just a mystery that's been fueling treasure hunters for decades. It's believed that many are still out there, tucked into piggy banks, wedged between couch cushions, or rattling around in old coffee cans in attics across America. One seasoned collector said, "Finding one is like hitting the lottery twice." Why? Because unlike gold or silver coins, this is a piece of everyday history, something that should have been worth a single cent, but instead could pay off a mortgage, buy a house, or secure your retirement, and yet, so many people let them slip through their fingers. They see the 1973 date, the D mint mark, and think, just another penny. They don't know to check for the telltale signs. They don't realize they're holding the key to a fortune. Here's the detail most people miss. Under magnification, the lettering on these rare pennies can reveal doubling, two impressions of the same design caused when the die shifted ever so slightly. On some, Lincoln's profile appears sharper and more defined than normal, as if frozen mid-breath. Others have a slightly different color, because they were struck on planchets with unusual metal compositions. And for a handful, the spacing of the date or the shape of the mint mark gives away its rarity. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on these. Every time one surfaces, the bidding war is fierce, the price climbs higher, and the room goes silent as the final number is called. But what's truly haunting is the thought that somewhere, someone is about to spend one of these pennies without knowing. It could be handed over for a cup of coffee tomorrow. It could be in a cashier's till right now. It could even be in your pocket. So here's what you do. Grab a magnifying glass. Look for a 1973 penny with the D mint mark under the date. Examine the letters in Liberty and In God We Trust for any sign of doubling. Check Lincoln's ear and eye for extra lines or shadows. Feel the weight, it should be precise, but if it's even slightly off, that's a clue. And never, ever clean it. Cleaning can destroy the value instantly. This isn't just about money. It's about the thrill of the hunt, the heartbeat you feel when you realize you might be holding history. The stories behind coins like this are why collectors search for decades without giving up, because somewhere out there, one of these rare 1973 D Lincoln pennies is waiting to be found. And when it is, the world will hear about it again. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. It was just an ordinary day in the suburbs of Ohio when a man almost tossed an old penny into the change jar on his kitchen counter. A penny he thought was worth exactly 1 cent. What he didn't know was that this single coin would soon sell for nearly $1.2 million. That coin was a 1980 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, a coin so rare, so unexpected, that most collectors have only heard whispers of its existence. And yet, this unassuming little piece of copper became the stuff of legend. The story starts with a quiet mistake deep inside the U.S. Mint. In 1980, Philadelphia was striking pennies without a mint mark, just as they always had. But in a bizarre twist, a small number of coins left the presses with an ultrasharp strike, perfect surfaces, and microscopic errors invisible to the casual eye. These tiny anomalies, invisible unless you knew exactly where to look, would later drive collectors into a frenzy. But here's the catch: most of these pennies vanished into circulation, blending in with billions of others. People spent them on coffee, gum, parking meters, completely unaware they were giving away a fortune. One man's story still shocks the coin world. He was sorting through an inherited jar of coins from his late father. Most were worn and ordinary, but one 1980 penny caught his eye. The color was different, a deep, even luster that seemed untouched by time. He took it to a local dealer, who froze when he saw it under magnification. This, the dealer whispered, isn't just rare, this is once in a lifetime. What happened next stunned the entire coin world. The penny went to auction, and the room was electric. Bids flew in from New York, Los Angeles, even overseas. When the hammer finally fell, the crowd erupted. $1.2 million. For a single penny most people wouldn't bend down to pick up. Why? Because this particular coin was graded at the absolute highest level, preserved as if it had been struck yesterday. No scratches, no handling marks, and a strike so crisp that every tiny detail of Lincoln's hair and coat looked like art carved in metal. For high-end collectors, perfection is priceless, but here's the dangerous part: perfection is easy to miss. Most 1980 no-mint mark pennies are worth only face value. That's why so many of these treasures are hiding in plain sight. One overlooked coin in a coffee can, one forgotten penny in a drawer, could be your $1 million miracle. The dealers are rushing to get their hands on them, but the odds are slim. And yet, there's a way to know if you've struck gold. First, check the date 1980, no mint mark under the year. Then, look closely at the condition. You want a flawless surface, full original shine, no dull patches or scratches. Under magnification, the details should be razor sharp. If you find one with that level of perfection, you could be holding something worth more than your car, your house, maybe more than your retirement savings. Collectors were shocked when news of the $1 million sale broke. It wasn't just about the money. It was about the idea that history's most valuable treasures can still slip quietly into our hands without warning, and that's why, tonight, someone could be fishing coins out of their pocket, paying for a soda, never realizing they just gave away a fortune. So check your change. Search your jars. Inspect every penny like your future depends on it, because one day, it just might. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million.